Hello, I'm Odin, and this is not an Odin Makes, and this is not DIY Prop Shop. No, what this is actually earlier than both of those, but just by a little bit. This is my audition to be a host on DIY Prop Shop. The fine folks at AweMe asked me to supply them with a personality test, an on-screen test of my ability to build props and actually talk to a camera. Now, I reasoned my way through this and decided that I was pretty much doomed. So I thought I should go ahead and make a full episode and submit that to them. Well, that episode happens to be about a thermal detonator from Return of the Jedi. And since today is May 25th, the 40th anniversary for Star Wars, I thought let's take all the elements out that make it a DIY prop shop and share it with you. Today we'll be making a thermal detonator from Return of the Jedi. That's the small hand grenade that Princess Leia used in Jabba's palace when she insisted that he recut Star Wars so Han shot first. Okay, so what do we see here? It's a small sphere. It's got a trigger on the top. It lights up when it's activated, so I can try putting some LEDs in it. And for the basic body, I think I'm gonna get one of those balls that you can make your own Christmas ornaments out of. So I went to the craft store and I found the 70mm plastic Christmas ball. What I like is it's already two halves, and all we have to do is cut the little notches in it. I also picked up a bottle of black acrylic paint. This is basic water-based paint. I got this from the dollar store. It's a basic LED flashlight. It has 3 LEDs on it and a click on, click off switch, which is really ideal. With the 3 LEDs, I can be able to use 2 to face forward in the prop and 1 to go up for the red light that shows the audience that it's a bomb. But these LEDs are white. So when I was at the craft store, I found a red glass bead. What I'm going to do with this is use it to color one of those LEDs red. So with these items here, let's make a prop. All right, what we got here is so 2 halves for a Christmas ornament. So let's see, we'll take this off, and we'll take this off. Come on, there it goes. So I'm going to carefully wrap this around both halves, and it's going to become my line. What I mean by that is if you look at the prop, it has these jagged cuts that go up and down. So what I'm doing with the tape is marking how deep I need to cut each of these sections. I'm just going to eyeball this. That'll be good enough. All right, so I got my tape put on. It's about 1/4 of an inch from the equator from each half of the sphere. And so then all I need is to draw my line so I know where to cut. Do the other half. I made my line. I don't need this tape anymore. That gets me my horizontal cut line, but I need my vertical cut lines because each of these fit together like a jigsaw puzzle. They're only 1/4 of an inch, so cutting them straight is not going to be that hard. These little teeth that I'm drawing, there's a couple of really small ones on either side of the lights. One set that goes down, one set that goes up, and then a broad set for the lights. Just go up, down. So I got all my lines on here now where I want to cut. Now I'm going to get out my roto tool and I'm going to start cutting these apart. Now, these things spin at high speed, so you always want to wear your safety goggles. That way you can keep your eyes. I'm intentionally making my horizontal cuts first. The reason for doing that is I'm still going to have the sides to help hold this little piece of plastic in place. And then I can easily make a pair of small cuts and take it off. I'm concerned that if I make these side cuts first, I could actually shatter up into the sphere that I'm trying to keep. You can use the roto tool to cut off the thin bits of plastic so the edges are the same thickness all the way around on the prop. I'm going to go ahead and just clean up the edges a little. Melty, icky corner. There we go. Sandpaper. Let's see, I'll just fit these together. Look at that, that works well. Now I got to figure out where I'm going to put the red light, as well as I'm going to have to cut a hole in order for the switch from the flashlight to fit through so I can turn it on and off. So we have our flashlight. All right. By the way, this is a poop torch. You see, does your dog poop? This is a poop torch. So not only can you see the poop at night, but it's got the little doggy bags in there too. The way this particular model works, all the parts we care about are right up here in the top. Now that I've got into this and I can see that I got myself a circuit board with my 3 LEDs on it, that I have my battery pack that has a switch here, what I need to do is desolder the top LED and take it off the circuit board, add a small bit of wire so it can fit where I want it to go, and then the switch itself, it's not going to fit right, and so I'm going to need to extend these wires so the switch can be where I want it to be, the red light can be where I want it to be, and then the rest of the circuit board can just sit in the front where the 2 lights that I want to be in the front will be. Take this, squeeze the bulb. You can melt the solder on pre-existing electronics, and then you let go of it, it'll suck the liquid solder back up and out of your way. Okay, so these 2 lights are going to face forward. They're in the center. And then this one that I took off, I'm going to have to move so it comes up here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a small piece of Cat 5 cable. Now that my house is wireless, I've got a ton of this stuff flying around. all I want to do is be very careful and cut the outside insulation off. You end up with 4 pairs of cable inside the Cat 5 cable. Got some wire cutters, and I just cut that off. Separate out the ends and expose the wires so we have something to solder with. Don't push too hard. This wire is so easy to cut. First thing I'm going to do is attach the wire to the LED. That's going to be a little bit tricky because there's barely any legs left on this LED. There should be enough there that I can actually solder them together and make them work. But if not, I can get a replacement LED off of a string of Christmas tree lights. All right, so if you look really close inside of an LED, you see that the 2 halves inside are different sizes. The small side is called the anode, that's where the positive goes into, and the large side is called the cathode, and that's where the negative comes out of. Make sure you wire it up right or it simply won't light up. Hey, I got lucky. They actually marked positive and negative on the circuit board. This is gonna be easy. There we go. So I'm looking at this, and what I think I'm gonna do is I'm gonna completely replace each of the wires, but I'm gonna do them one at a time so I can keep my continuity correct. First, I need to get myself another small section of wire, and I'll take the orange wire off first. There we go. Make sure I got a good connection. So I'm gonna be able to get that to work out just fine. I need to make a ring that I can stick the lights into. What I need to do is figure out how much cardboard I'm going to need to run around in a ring so the 2 halves can sit together but have a gap. Trying to fit it in place. I don't want it to be crooked. Looks like I'm only about ½ an inch over. That should work. And yeah. What I need to do now is put my LEDs through the cardboard. I'm going to hold the lights backwards, but that gives me the idea of where I need to put my holes through the cardboard. There it is, I'm all the way through. Wiggle it around and make the hole a little bit bigger. That'll work just fine. So remember, this was the top half, so what I need to do now is find out where I need to put the hole so I can glue the glass bead in place, and where I need to put a hole in the back so I can actually click it on and off when it's in my hand. Now, because of the way I'm placing the switch, mine isn't actually going to be able to move, but that's okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my cut wheel off. I'm going to put on, this looks like a drill bit, but it's not. It's actually like a rotating saw, so I can move it in any direction and cut out what I want to cut out. Okay, so I got the electronics ready and got all the holes cut out. Now it's time to go outside and spray paint this. I've got these covered in black as a base coat. What I want to do now is cut some very thin strips of tape that I can put down on top of it, because next step is to spray paint this silver. Then I'll take the tape off and I'll have little black lines in between each of the panels. So to cut the thin tape, I'm going to use cardboard. I want my blue tape and just regular old packing tape. The reason I'm using the packing tape, the blue tape will peel back up off of it fairly easily. I'll stick it on cardboard so I can just cut right through it and not worry about it. So I know the blue tape will peel up off of the packing tape very easily. Go ahead and grab one of these. Let's peel that right off the packing tape. I'll be giving the insides a solid coat of silver, and then I'll be dusting the outsides with silver and a little bit of copper. This will give it a nice funky metallic color. Now lastly, when you look at the top of the thermal detonator, you actually have the trigger. I'm going to use a small scrap of camping foam that I've got left over to do that. That'll work for my trigger. I just got to spray paint the silver. My metallic spray paint's about done, so I'm going to go ahead and just peel the blue tape off to show my panel lines. Now I got to start putting the guts into this thing. Put some hot glue on this. There we go. All right. Now I got to get the hot glue gun down in there. Put some glue on the top side too. Make sure that this switch doesn't go anywhere. Now the glue's set up and the switch is in place and it's working pretty nice. So I got to put this LED in place to be the red light. In order to hold the light easily to my glass bead, I'm going to use a small piece of this translucent tubing that I had lying around. First I'm going to glue the tube to the glass bead, and then I'm going to stick the LED into it. Put that inside as far down as it'll go. Now that I've got that all attached, I'm going to put some hot glue on the outside of the red here, just like that. So what I'm going to do next is put a nice heavy bead of hot glue all the way around the edge of the cardboard. Make sure I got my fronts matched up, and then I'm just going to press them together and make sure that my trench is fairly equal all the way around. I don't want this to look like Pac-Man. So I've got the bottom stuck on. Now I'm going to use a couple of parts left over from the flashlight. First, I'm going to take the little rim. This is what held the lens in place. I'm going to use that as a stand so my thermal detonator doesn't roll away. And the other part I'm going to use is the button left over from the flashlight. What I'm going to do with this is I'm going to cut off the rim of the top hat and set the decorative thumb switch on top of it. Now the benefit of using the foam is that the whole thing will compress when I need to press the button. I'm just going to take hot glue on the foam only. I'm going to attach this to the top of my thermal detonator. One last major detail, the top of the thumb switch is actually black, so I'm going to paint that up really quick. I think that's working out pretty well. There's one big concern that I have with it. It's too clean. Think about it, everything in the Star Wars universe is used. Everything's dirty, it's been kicked around. The only thing that was nice and brand new, the Rebels didn't treat very well. And that's why we can't have nice things. So what we need to do next is take the black paint, water it down, and gunge this up a little bit. Well, that's my low-budget thermal detonator from Return of the Jedi. I like it. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe, and let me know what props you want me to build next time on a budget. You do. I now have a Patreon page, which will give you the chance to win props that are made right here in Odin Makes. And it's the only place where I'll talk about my upcoming builds. If you like the video or have ideas for something for me to make, please leave them in the comments below. And if you make any of these projects, you can send me a picture at odin@odinmakes.com.